Live from Las Vegas, broadcasting around the world. You're listening to Up is Higher Than Down with L.A. Walker. L.A. Walker. Raw and unfiltered conversations on how to give life's challenges the finger. Truth is your passport to emotional freedom. Give an eviction notice to negativity. Dump yesterday's garbage. Learn how to be positive, energized, healthy, and alive during these insanely unpredictable times. Look up, get up, stay up. Then help somebody else to get up. Remember, any part of up is higher than down. Now, broadcasting hope to the world, L.A. Walker.
She's back. Yes, I am back. I have been given this marvelous gift of life. My job is to live it, and I am on my job because living is the best job I've ever had. Look up, get up, stay up. Sounds easy. Some days it's hard as hell just to look up because there's so many things going on in our lives right now. We have a lot of countrymen that are really, really, really going through some devastating times. Job loss, eviction notices, not being able to buy food, not being able to provide health care for their children, a mom or a dad in the hospital on a ventilator, a son or a daughter that's not recovering. This is incredibly crazy, and it's very intense. And what is required of us is that if you're not going through anything, put on your support gear, put on your support helmet, get some oxygen, take a deep breath, and get ready to help somebody through their day. You know, when we're going through something, we think that we're the only ones, really, because sometimes it paralyzes us. It captivates all of our life. You know, when you lose a loved one or you have a divorce or a job loss. And then you discover when you come out of yourself that there are a whole bunch of people that are going through, and especially right now. We all go through something, but don't stop hoping, don't stop believing, don't stop giving, and don't stop living. With me today is someone who is going through and has gone through a very, very difficult time. Actually unimaginable, completely unimaginable. Morris Hayes. You might know that name. He was the musical director, keyboardist, and producer for Prince for over 20 years. And he has quite a story. You and I share a similar experience, and I think yours is even more heightened than mine, and that is the loss of loved ones.
Right.
This is... on top of everything else that we're going through with the pandemic and the political pandemic and the racial pandemic, our individual lives continue. And we have challenges on top of all of these other challenges. And losing a loved one, I don't think there's any challenge that can compare to that. You lost your mother, and then, about 6 months later, you lost your dad?
Correct. Yeah. Once COVID started to take over, and we would go for like 3 years, and we went to the nursing home every day. Every day I was home. When I would go on tour, my cousin would look after Dad, and he was driving, but only for when my dad was feeling ill, it didn't feel good that I just go by myself and take care of Mom. We would feed her in the morning and just sit with her for a few hours every day. And so what I would do is just go down and take him and do that. And then pretty soon COVID came around, and they had we had come so much and was so much a fixture at the nursing home too. They would kind of help us in ways that probably the average person wouldn't, get. I mean, they would let us know that, that things were coming down the pipe that was going to be significant, and kind of give us a heads up, like, we get reports that things are going to get bad here with this disease that's coming up. And so eventually what happened was they just told us that the CDC had passed down certain guidelines and we couldn't come back. And, nobody was allowed visitation. They had to lock these places down, of course. COVID swept these places here just like everywhere else. My mom got COVID, even though she was the invalid, basically. She couldn't get out of bed herself. And so, of course, that means somebody had to bring it into her.
Right.
But nobody really had proper protocol at the time. I don't think people knew what to do.
Right.
They didn't know how it was transmitted. And so, a lot of people got it, and my mother being one. It was very hard on my dad because that was pretty much his life. His social life was.
Sure.
He couldn't see very well, but he was. Everybody knew him. Everybody loved him. Down at the nursing home, he would cook and take food down there, and people just loved his chef offerings. And it was just a way of life. And then, of course, when my mom had COVID, she went to she actually did pretty well. Didn't have really a lot of the issues. She had like a kind of a low-grade fever for the most part, and then one day it got like 104, which they took her to the hospital at that point. But then she rode it out and seemingly, beat it. Got on the other side of it where it ran its 2 or 3 weeks, and they let her go back to the nursing home. And then things just took a turn for the worse. And of course, when they just let us know there was nothing really much more they could do, it really affected my dad in a pretty bad way. Myself as well. But that was like everything to him. And I just noticed the change. And it was a very difficult 6 months because when she died, it just like everything just didn't matter. And he just kind of turned into a person that used to love to be in his garden and in his shop. I built him a shop some years ago, like an auto mechanic kind of shop. And he loved that place, and he couldn't function there. He couldn't function in the yard. We live in the South. In the summertime, there's snakes, there's rattlesnakes, there's all kind of things. You can't see. It could be lethal. You could,
right.
You can't see, and you're out in the garden, and there's poisonous snakes. So it could be a very bad situation. So Dad, you can't. I got to put cameras out here so I can see because I live down the road from my dad. So. I have to either stay here and watch you, or you have to curtail some of your activity, so that I don't just come over here and you're just out in the garden and being eaten by animals.
Right.
So I just watched him just deteriorate, and of course, as COVID got worse, he contracted it from someone. I guess that because again, he didn't go anywhere. He was homebound. So some visitor that came through, probably unbeknownst to him, had it, not showing asymptomatic, and he got it and subsequently died from it.
So, my friend, I had a similar experience. My spouse of 30 years passed away June 24th of 2020. Not from...
That's my mom's birthday.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry to interrupt that.
No, that's okay.
That was her birthday, and she died the day before her birthday.
I get it. So COVID was not the culprit, but the element of COVID, my spouse had dementia as well, Lewy body dementia. And one of the worst things to happen is when a person that has dementia has no further contact with anyone that they might recognize. And the damage that's being done to people, the collateral damage, that we're leaving through this pandemic is horrific.
Yeah.
Yeah, because families are being left with the pain, with the agony, with the questioning, with the resentment, and with the anxiety of moving forward with all of these emotions. Morris, you are a very grounded individual, but you're a human being. How are you dealing with everything? What is your outlook?
Well, I have to tell you, it's been extraordinarily difficult. After my mom died, I lost 2 of my uncles on her side of the family. Soon thereafter, and weeks apart. So it really comes down for me, LA. I have an incredibly strong network of friends and family that have been unbelievable during all of this that's been happening. with my Prince fan base, a lot of the fans, it just had been, I've had a string of just bad fortune. My house burned in 2019 that I lived in while I was out of town doing a show. Just some electrical issues, and my studio burned up. A lot of equipment I just brought from LA. It had been in LA in storage for a couple of years, just in storage. And then I decided to go get it, bring it, and then shortly thereafter the place burned up. That was in June, and then September the place burned, and I just lost all of it and no insurance. So it was pretty devastating. And do you know that in all the cases, had the fans step up. One of my band members did a GoFundMe, and they raised like $30,000. It was incredible. Just what people have done and how supportive people have been to me during all of these unfortunate events. And so I'm very blessed, and I'm very grateful for everybody that we're there to, if nothing else, pray for me and just say that we're all pulling for you and that we are concerned about you. And to know you have a network of people like that is a very, I'm sorry that other people don't have it, because it's your worst and the lowest lows. It's the thing that really helps pull you through.
That's my testimony as well. I have had so many people be kind in word and deed, and you do need that. And it was a new experience for me, because I've always been that person to help other people. You know what I mean? I've not been that person to really stretch out and rely upon, or even to say I really needed people, but I needed every single person that came my way. Whatever they did, I was just absolutely grateful, and it really helped me. It helped me lift my spirits, and it's not, of course, there are going to be days that just bring total sadness, because the absence of a loved one is very difficult. But that spirit of gratitude that you are alive, and because you are alive, you have purpose and you have support. That's amazing. That's amazing. Through all of this, are you working on any particular projects?
Well, there's been a couple of things that I've been involved. Of course, the New Power Generation. We've been working on music for a while, and just writing and doing things. Since COVID has been down, we're working on a few studio tracks and things like this. And we're looking to put some things out. We put a Christmas track out, and that was really cool, but very well received. With very little promotion or anything like that. We just wanted to give a gift of Christmas love, and so that was received very well. And we got some other tracks that we're going to start dropping as we get things mastered and mixed and mastered and that sort of thing. And then I'm working on my own project, just my own music and that sort of thing. So that I'm happy about as well. I've received a lot of love for some of the tracks that I've written, like for my mom, for my dad, for instance, and people seem to be interested in hearing what I would do as a solo project. So I'm working on that as well.
Good. The years that you spent with Prince, what did you learn from him? What was the greatest lesson that you learned? Not all the lessons he taught, because I'm sure he taught a lesson every day, but the greatest lesson that you learned from Prince.
Two immediately snap to mind that I've spoken of many times, and the one that comes to mind because he used to be really adamant about it is like, Morris, it's not a mistake until you stop. And what that means is a lot of times when things happen, and if you play as much as we do and do as much as it's not a matter of if you're going to screw up, it's when. That's just technology messes up, people mess up, he messed up, but Prince was so good at salvaging a mistake that you would notice it. And that's what his point was. He's like, Morris, if your equipment breaks down in the middle of a song, don't stand there like a deer in the headlights. Make a show out of it. It is not a mistake until you stop. Because as long as you act like everything is cool, the fans don't know what's happening. Everybody thinks that was supposed to happen. If you don't lose it, the minute you look bewildered and look like something's wrong, then they know something's wrong.
Absolutely.
And so that was one of his main things. Like when things go wrong, just act natural. Just making sure. He said, if your keyboard breaks, throw it on the ground. I'll buy you a new one. Break it. It's rock and roll. Break it, and I'll get you a new one. But he said, don't stand there looking like what's going on and bewildered. And then everybody goes, hey, what's that? The keyboard player's having a problem. Look, something's wrong. He said, now you're a distraction.
You know,
So that was very important to him.
That is a great lesson. I write and direct plays, and that's the thing that I tell everybody that goes on stage. Don't worry about missing your lines. No one really knows. But if you stop, everyone is going to know.
Everyone knows. Everyone knows.
That's for sure.
And that's really the true mark of a great actor, a great musician. Prince would miss him. And I've considered Prince one of the best that's ever done the game. I've watched him do things that we all looked at each other playing with him and just go, how in the hell did that just, but how could he done it? You know, I've watched him in the worst possible of situations pull it out in front of 15,000 people, 10 or 15,000 people, and save the day. And nobody knew that the fire that he just put out. I've watched him do it. And what's the mark of a great one is that how it's not that you won't make a mistake, it's how you recover from it.
Right. And that's all, that's life in general, not just the stage.
That's life in general. That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Speaking of that, Prince, the time that I think one of the band members decided to give him an untuned guitar?
No, that was one of, I was thinking about that. That was one of his guitar takes. A guy named Fred. Fred and him and Prince would go back and forth, and this is the end of the tour, and because Fred knew he was done, and I think he just wanted to go out with like, I'll get him, I'll stick it to him, and then I'll be fired, and I'll go home, and it's over, whatever.
Okay.
But what he didn't realize is that he was dealing with Prince, a legend, and so this is what legends do. He gave him a guitar that was detuned in the section of the show where it was Prince by himself. You know, it's just him and his guitar, and he's going to run a medley of songs on his guitar. And so Fred thought, okay, this would be perfect. You know, I'm giving this guitar, it's going to be jacked up, and then it'll just look terrible. Prince just hits this first note, it is completely jacked up. He does this little look over to the side to acknowledge, I got you. I got your number, bro. You're done. But he knows the show must go on. So he's not going to say, okay, sorry, I got a bad guitar. Let me go over here and get a new one and yell at this guy. That's not Prince's MO. He knows the show. There's people that came to see the show, not to see our whatever our issues are. It's personnel. So this dude tunes one string at a time. And as he tunes his guitar to the one string, he goes through every string, and with each string, and then the next string, until he gets through every string, and then plays a solo that would just burn your brains out.
Wow!
And just killed it, just like tuned it by himself, but he made a show out of it until he got it in tune with itself, and then he could play. Then went on to do what he had to do. And it was unbelievable. We just said, look, the band, because we were sitting there going, oh my God, this is bad. And Fred is so done. He is so done. And we knew that it was trouble. But Prince pulled it out and completely made it seem like that's what he wanted to do in the first place. And just completely killed it to the point we just holding your hands and your head going like, oh my God, man, I just, like the fact that I was here to witness that was like unbelievable. Because it was incredible. And it was at it was in London. And it was just unbelievable. And so the moral of the story, of course, is the show must go on, and you think you can cross a Prince. He got totally kicked off the premises when that was over.
Wow.
And, he was, because he knew that it was deliberately done. And so, Yeah, but that was an amazing moment that I'll never forget. I was just like, it's, and because you don't want to have to explain anything to 10 or 15,000 people about your issue.
Oh,
they
no.
don't care about your issue.
No, they don't care.
It's like that's okay. That. So no, he's old school. The show must go on. I will figure this out, and I will keep it moving. And that's what he did. And it was just like a lesson for everybody there. I think learned something that day. Is that you cannot thwart this man. He's too smart. He's too good. And you suit yourself to just do your job and do it well to the end, even if you know you're going. He's not one to cross.
That's an incredible story and an incredible lesson. I mean, one to stand on forever. You can't shut me down. That's what he's saying. You just cannot shut me down.
That's the great ones. Michael Jackson was the same way. I think lots of friends that work with Michael, and Michael was a severe cat. He was a trooper. He'd been doing this since he's a kid. And people like that they're anomalies for a reason, because they have these incredible special gifts, and they can think on their feet. That's what makes all of the great comedians like Richard Pryor and some of the old school comedians, Robin Williams and all of those guys that were like able to think in a millisecond of how to, in the midst of a situation that's unfolding right now, they can riff, just like a guitar player. They can riff and fill in the gap on the spot. Dave Chappelle, just like there's some people that just have these quick wits and quick-witted about themselves and know how to pull out a situation. Like you think like quarterbacks like Brett Favre,
right?
And the kids from the Patriots. I mean, it's just like he finds a way to win, and all the great ones do. All the great ones do. They're the best in a tight situation, in a clutch situation, and that's how you can tell the greats. Michael Jordan, nobody's better at pulling out a clutch situation. Curry.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's what makes the great ones. And Prince was among those. Stevie Wonder, was among those. So many others. Aretha. Because they came from an era where you didn't have auto-tune. You had to do it, man. You had to get up,
right,
and you had to do it.
You had to really entertain. Now people just stand around. Yeah, you had to do everything.
Yeah. If the computer breaks down, some of these folks, they're in a world of trouble now.
Right.
If the lighting breaks down. I remember Prince was talking to Clive Davis, a legendary record executive. You couldn't be in the record industry and not know who Clive Davis is. And I just remember sitting there with Prince and Clive, and I had a lot of moments like this in meetings, and Prince would, talking to, Mo Austin at Warner's and Charlie Walker, all of these different people, and I just had to be, and I was a fly on the wall in it. And I remember Prince, going in on Clive, and he was just, Clive was talking about, about dismal record sales or something. He said, well, Prince, you're not selling a lot of records. And Prince said, let me see if I got this right, Clive. He said, so I make the record and sell the record. He said, what do you do for money? Well, how do you get your check? He said, Clive, if I put you in a room, you can't do anything. I can sing, I can dance, I can do something. But if I put you in a room, you can't do anything, bro. Wow. So I'm supposed to make the record and sell the record. Why are you getting a check then? And it was like incredible. I was like, man. I remember when that was over with Mo, when Clive, I said, Prince, I love you, man. You're just my dog, man, for real. You let that dude have it, man.
Just simple country sense, right? Oh,
yeah.
My God.
He just told him, like, what can you do? You can't do nothing.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And it just was amazing, because he just like, man, and he spoke truth to power. He's just like, I don't care who you're supposed to be. I'm telling you, if I got to make the record and sell the record, then I should get your money too, because you shouldn't get anything, because you're not doing nothing.
That is so
That's
real.
That's your job.
So real.
I was like, man, I heard that scene from The Godfather, where I was like, you can't talk to Mo Green like that. And it's just like, he didn't care, man. I loved him for that. I always thought, Prince was such a brave cat, because he did not hesitate one iota. I don't care who it was and what their role was and how long you've been the president and if you were a mobster, he did not care. He told me one time that if you find me floating in the river, go look for this dude right here. Go, that's who did it. But he
Wow.
wasn't scared to say something. But I appreciate that, education and seeing a powerful black man
Yes.
that was able to, speak truth to power again.
Yes. With that in mind, the years that you had the opportunity to be with him and to watch him in action, where were you and what was it like when you found out that he had passed on?
I was at home in L.A., and oddly enough, I could see the handwriting on the wall. I just knew that, things weren't optimal.
Okay.
And a few days prior, when this whole plane incident happened, where they had to land this jet in Moline, I knew personally that from my years, knowing how Prince felt about doctors and the hospitals and things like that, Prince hated doctors and hospitals, period. He didn't like it. He didn't want to go. He didn't like nothing to do with it. And when I heard that landed that plane that close to Minneapolis, it's only on the jet, maybe another half an hour or so away from Minneapolis from where it was at that much. That was almost home. The only reason that plane went down is because Prince was either dead or unconscious. Because he wouldn't have stopped it. He would have said, "Give me to Minneapolis, and I will deal with whatever the issue is there." That's what I believe. That's what I feel I know. And so what that told me was that he was incapacitated, and somebody else had to make that call, and that's exactly what happened. And so once I figured that out, I just texted one of his handlers and just kind of told him, like, "Dude, you guys, okay." I'm like, I'm seeing all of this stuff, and this is crazy, right? And I'm like, bro. And I just kind of got a text back, like, yeah, we're good, everything, whatever. But then later I got a text that just said Mo, which a lot of my friends call me Mo. To which I called him, and I just said, "Hey, man," in a nutshell, I just say, "Man, this shit is getting crazy. Okay, I'm seeing stuff on the news." I didn't like the way Prince was looking. He was like really small. He was like, to me, Prince used to be ripped to shreds, in good shape. He used to work out in the workout room. And Prince was like in really, really good shape. And now he's like under 100 pounds. He looks small. I'm like seeing him on TV, and I'm seeing him in LA at certain places around town. And, seeing photographs, I'm like, man, Prince is looking bad, man. Like, it's like, this is not typical. Prince always looks like $1 million. He's in good shape. But I just noticed him being kind of small. So anyway, I just was like, bro, it's all fun and games when you get on the plane and y'all rock and rolling and, you're the man next to the man. I said, you got to help this dude. All right, you're going to have some discernment here. And you're going to have to do the right thing. And I remember praying with him, and both of us crying like babies. Just like, bro, I'm praying for you and I'm praying for Prince that you guys get this together and y'all get this sorted out. Because one thing I understood very clearly was, when you're out of the inner circle, when you're gone, then what I always noticed is that when you're out, you're out. And and it's the new people in the inner circle that he had at the time. So, and that's cool with me. I understood that from day one. And, I understood that. And so I recall the next Prince's manager, longtime manager, Karen Sharma, was coming to town, and she was in L.A., and I was going to meet her in Malibu the next day at this restaurant, and I met with her, and I told her, I said, I talked to my guy there with Prince, and I'm not encouraged, and I said, this man is not long for this world. If something don't want to change. And she said, well, we got to go there. I said, no, we can't go there. What's going to happen if we show up, especially you. Because she had been in litigation with him and over some stuff, and they were kind of on wonky terms, but then I guess it got kind of cool, but I just told her, I don't think it's a good idea. If we show up, I think it's going to be a problem if we just show up. But I think somebody's got to do something. And, she was all for going and just trying to just crash the castle, and I just didn't think it was prudent. But it turned out to be one of the great regrets that I have. And that was on a Monday. And then on Thursday, he was gone. And when it happened on my phone, I had been working late and I left my phone on the table. And, when I turned my ringer off, but I could hear it on the wood table. My phone, from the other room, going, and it was just doing that, constantly. And I'm like, what is it? I'm like, it's because it was just constant.
Right.
The constant vibration of my phone on that desk in the other room. And when I went in, I how you tap the phone and then you see the messages. It was like 400 messages on my phone. I'd never seen a number like that on my messages. Like, people were texting me from all walks. I was like, dude, turn on the TV. And then right when I looked at it, the phone rang again. It was a friend of mine, Greg Sane, that I used to be in the band with. And he said, man, are you watching CNN and I'm watching the news? And I'm like, no, what's going on? He said, man, turn on the news. And I turned on the news and I'm like, what is this? Like, it just felt like 9/11. My engineer called me and told me about 9/11. It just turn on the TV. And I remember looking at it going, like, what is this? What is this, a movie? What is this? And he said, that's the Twin Towers, It was like that for Prince. I turn it on and I'm like, there's helicopters over Paisley. There's all these cops. I'm like, what in the world is this? And then the reporter's talking there, getting a report that there's a fatality and I'm like, what? Oh my God. Right. And I just broke down. And about one of the hardest cries I've ever had, just on my knees on the floor, because I just knew, that whatever that was Prince, and it was done. And I just had talked about it days earlier, and it just hit me that it's come to pass what I said, and then that I didn't do anything, or I couldn't do anything, or whatever the case was. I felt all kinds of things, just all kind of levels of guilt for not at least trying to go and crash the castle like Karen had suggested. You think about everything. It just was a miserable feeling.
I cannot even imagine, really, seriously. I knew, because the world stopped. We all stopped. And we didn't have the privilege of knowing him as a person, as a man, only through his music. And we were all devastated, and still devastated, actually. We're coming up on 5, what is this, coming up on 5 years now, right?
Close to, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's right, in April.
And I can't stand to listen to his music without reflecting on the fact that he's not physically here. So I'm sure it was very tough for you and all of the other band members. That kind of a loss, though, prepares you for future losses, that we're experiencing now. I know that Donda West, Kanye's mom, and I were very, very good friends. And in fact, we were scheduled to be at her home for Thanksgiving. And I got a call from the family. It was early in the morning, like 6:45 or something like that. We wanted you to know something before you hear the news. And I was devastated. I was like, Donda who? You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. Yeah, we learned.
It really is a gut punch, and especially when, because of things like that, you have something coming up, you have a meeting, like my mom's birthday was coming up, it was going to be New Year's when, my dad, before Christmas, went into the hospital. Mm-hmm. So it's just like all of these milestone things happen,
sure.
and it just puts you in a place. It just seems surreal when these things happen.
Yes, for real.
But always remember to cling to your friends and family. And for those who have a belief system, like I believe in God, and I believe that what he says is that he won't give you any more than you can bear, even though it seems like that. I just take solace in those words that I won't get any more than I can take. And no matter how hard it gets you, if you keep that in the back of your mind, you realize that, I withstood it, and I may have to again, because disease doesn't have any, it doesn't adhere to lies and political affiliations. It survives. It wants to mutate and survive with the host being us, and that's all it's interested in doing. So we have to then fight together against this. And when I think we get together, then I think that's the thing that sustains me, at least, because I know that I have a support system with all the friends and family that I have. And there are so many that don't. have a support system like that. And that's why we have to step up and be that for somebody. If we see somebody in need and see somebody in a situation where we can help and we can be of service in the best ways that we can be. And that's not always money. It's not always being physically with somebody, but at least letting them know mentally that you have support and that you have somebody that's in your corner. I think it's incredibly important. And I hope that we can understand that it's not done yet, and there's more to go. We have to survive until we get on the other side of this thing.
Yes.
And I just hope that we realize that there's a lot that we can do to help, each other. And that's the important thing to me.
I thank you so very much. Those words are well received. And you've just confirmed for me that that's the point of my podcast, is to help people to understand that they are not alone, and to help people to look up, to get up, and to stay up. Morris, thank you. You are such a pleasure to have this chat time with. Thank you so much.
Thank you, L.A. I appreciate that very much. Thanks for having me.
Whatever podcast network you listen to Up is Higher Than Down on, please, please, please take the time to rate and leave a comment. Well, at least rate and subscribe. How about that? And don't forget to remember that you are important.
Listen to Up is Higher Than Down with L.A. Walker every day. To follow up, make comments, discuss today's podcast, or find out how you can become a guest and share your victory over a negative life event, follow L.A. Walker. Up is Higher Than Down on Facebook. Look up, get up, stay up. Remember, any part of up is higher than down.